Hey, what's going on, everyone? How are you guys doing? It is Tuesday. You know what that means. It is June 15th, 2021, and here we are for another NXT post show. How are you guys doing? I am doing great, and honestly, this is one of my favorite episodes of NXT that we have seen recently. And you know what? I might even say that this episode of NXT was more enjoyable than NXT TakeOver. NXT is constantly adding these huge matches to their TV shows, and I feel like that really took away from NXT TakeOver on Sunday. A lot of that stuff really just kind of felt like a regular episode of NXT to me. Aside from the main event of In Your House was great. It was great. The rest of the show just really felt like a regular episode of NXT to me. And I don't know if that's just because they've just been going all out or whatever it was. I don't know. And I don't necessarily care, but I thought that this show was great. This show kept my attention the entire way through. A lot of the times with NXT, they'll start off hot and then they'll kind of, die down a little bit more towards the middle, and then they'll get good towards the end, or they'll pick up steam once again towards the end. But tonight, I thought that tonight's show was great. The start off of the show with Samoa Joe coming back was great. I was a little hesitant about it. We'll talk about that certainly when we get into the show. But man, they won me over very quickly. Very quickly, they won me over. I'm very excited for Joe to be back in NXT. Even though I was looking forward to him potentially wrestling somewhere else, I think that this role for him is going to be incredible. So I'm definitely going to be looking forward to that every week. Now, let me shout out everyone that is here. Fickle, how you doing? My friend Myro is in here. Zachary as well with the caps lock. Man's going crazy with the caps lock. Let's see here. Who else we got in here? Maddie's here. How you doing, my friend? Ashton, how are you doing as well? Shelvis says, what a great episode. I agree, man. I liked it. Marcella's here. How are you doing? Elver is here. Gabriel, how are you doing? He says, Samoa Joe is money anywhere he goes. And believe it or not, being in NXT is the best money decision for himself and NXT. I'm not sure, like, money-wise, if NXT is the best, but this role is fantastic. I think it'll be great. Obi James, how you doing, my friend? Jose is here as well. Anthony, how are you doing? McGriddle in the building. How are you doing, my friend? Safa's here. He says, this was my favorite NXT episode since they moved to Tuesday. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. Yeah, I do not think you're wrong. Nailed it on that one. Oh, Chef is here. How you doing, my friend? He says, best show of NXT so far of 2021, including TakeOver. Safa says, legend has it, Adam Cole is still sleeping. That was so great, man. That was so good. I loved that so much. Ashley says, I must have Zach blocked because I don't see him in the comments at all. Yeah, he's just going to town on someone for some reason. Just time him out, or here. Just block him if he's bothering you. If he continues to spam, I will just time him out. But yeah, anyways, here we are. Hope you guys are doing great. It's Tuesday. We had a great episode of NXT, it's great, man. I'm still waiting for those times to come back where Monday's good, Tuesday's good, Wednesday's good, Friday's good. Like, I'm ready. I'm ready for everything to be great. And, there was a report, or not necessarily a report, but I was looking, I stumbled upon a tweet from Wrestling Inc. where they were talking about the SummerSlam pre-sale tickets on Ticketmaster. And they said that they're planning to have 41,000 people. 41,000 people, man. I cannot wait for that, especially like with everything, all of the rumors about it being a WrestleMania level event. Like, it's very exciting, and just having that many people in one place for a wrestling show, man, I can't wait. Double or Nothing was loud with 5,000 people, and I think 5,000 so far is the most that we've had in a while. So, I mean, this is going to dwarf that. It's going to dwarf that. Marcel says Monday's being good. LOL. I know, man. It's wishful thinking, isn't it? It's wishful thinking. A lot of people just think that I hate WWE and that I just want to see them go bankrupt and just fail, but that's not the case. I want them to do better. And so, like I was saying, nothing would make me happier to watch and enjoy wrestling on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. And maybe even Thursday if I could get into Impact or something else that is on. NWA Power, I've been told, was very good. I'm not quite sure about the current product, but I've been told, I've heard great things about that. So I don't know. I would love it though. I would love for wrestling to be great everywhere, but currently it's only NXT and it's AEW Dynamite. Those are the only two shows that I personally watch, that I personally feel like are good and worth my time watching. So hopefully that changes. Hopefully that changes with crowds, but I'm not going to get my hopes up for it. I will tune in to the first Raw and SmackDown with crowds. So we'll probably have to postpone AOW Underground and FFBW on those nights. Maybe do them later, do them on a different day or something. But I will tune in and I will see. And that's the first time that I'm going to be back watching Raw and SmackDown. Sava says, I was hesitant for LA Knight winning the title, but I think having Cameron chasing the title is going to make him a more serious main event player. Yeah, we'll talk about that too, but I do agree with you now that we are here and we're kind of seeing the story. I do agree that maybe they did go the right route. Maddie says, to me, Cross vs. Balor 2 was the best episode of Weekly Wrestling TV I've ever seen. Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's see here. Yvonne says, do you think Samoa Joe has like CTE type of concussion, so that's why he hasn't been cleared? I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on. All I remember is that he got a concussion while he was filming a commercial for Raw. That's pretty much all I know. And that he's not cleared. That's pretty much all I know. Where are we at here? Anthony says, do you work with WWE? How do you predict that Joe will put people to sleep? Oh, how did I predict that Joe would put people to sleep? No, I do not work with WWE. I do not work with any wrestling promotions. I don't work with anyone. It's just me. It's just me. I just so happen to follow people who are connected to the companies on Twitter. So Sean Ross Sapp, I have Fightful Select, Wrestling Inc. I follow as well. So just a couple things that I peep into and look into for things like that. I'm pretty sure Fightful Select was the one that posted the Joe stuff, and someone earlier today had posted that Samoa Joe was backstage at NXT, so I just put 2 and 2 together. Elver says, tonight's NXT episode looked amazing. Shame I had to miss it. I haven't watched NXT in nearly a month except for Takeover in Your House. To me, I think that this episode was better than Takeover in Your House. I would highly recommend it. If you can't watch it, if you don't have time or whatever it is, I would watch maybe the opening 20 minutes where Samoa Joe returns, and I would watch the main event match. Basically, the open and the closing, I think, is very good. Sava says, next week, Kyle versus Kushida is going to be great. It is. Yes, it will be great. And I think like that's the reason why I didn't. It's not that I didn't like the last Takeover, but it just didn't feel special. Because to me, Kyle O'Reilly versus Kushida could be a very special match that could be on a pay-per-view for sure. So I don't know. I feel like they're kind of like blowing their load with doing all of these big matches to try to get people to tune in and make sure that people are watching every single week. And it could potentially be affecting their takeovers. Because they're going to have to go. Now they're going to have to go even to the next level. Ashton says, can we get some more info on that Tony Khan Lord of the Ring thing you posted? Yeah, so it's an article from Forbes, and I have it. I haven't read it yet, but I have it up on it's kind of long. Oh, did I click on something else? Well, son of a bitch, I did click on something else. So I don't have it up right now. But it's an article from Forbes. It's not like some sort of King of the Ring tournament or something like that. I think it was just a tagline that the author wrote. I plan on going through and reading it. I'm not sure if I'll have time tonight, but maybe tomorrow if I have some time. And I'll post anything from it that is interesting if there is. I did see that someone mentioned that they spent 8 figures on their wrestling development. Game development, 8 figures. So hopefully that console game delivers, because man, that's a lot of fucking money. Good Lord. Sava says William Regal's acting was on point in the opening segment. It really was, man. That opening segment was so good. They had me fooled. I really thought that William Regal was retiring, and I didn't want to see it. Didn't want to see it at all. Myra says, Johnny should go to the main roster. He hasn't had anything to do right now. He's one of those people that I feel like could move up during the draft or whatever. Adam Cole's another one that I feel like his time in NXT has come. but I have no idea, man. No idea. Anthony says, what do you think of the Hell in a Cell match card so far? Seems pretty cool. I'm not very familiar with it. But hopefully it's good. I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna cover it. I'll watch it. There will be a post show for it, and that is next Sunday, or this Sunday. Sorry, this Sunday, I believe as well. So I don't know. I haven't been tuning in to Raw or SmackDown. They're just not important to watch. And by the time I watch the pay-per-view, they pretty much explain everything that's going on, if you even need it to be explained, because most of them are just rematches anyways. So we'll see. We'll see. But I will be tuning in. I'm not giving up on WWE main roster pay-per-views just yet. So Maddie says Gargano is doing really good, making Austin Theory and Indy Hartwell relevant. Yeah, you can make that argument. Fickle says Roman is the only relevant match. Yeah, well, even that one is a little bit weird to me, having Roman Reigns versus Rey Mysterio and in a Hell in a Cell. Like, why? I don't know. I feel like it's completely unnecessary, and we've talked about this plenty of times. Probably even just because of this match, is that I wish that WWE would do away with these sort of pay-per-views that are titled after specific things. So of course Royal Rumble is fine, and like Elimination Chamber, those are fine. But like Hell in a Cell just seems like it's such an off pay-per-view to me, because now you're all of a sudden like, well, okay, we have 2 weeks to book to this pay-per-view, and it's Hell in a Cell. So like, how do we get so many people? How do we get these matches into a Hell in a Cell? Like your hands are kind of tied, and you're forced into a direction that you necessarily wouldn't be going in. Whereas like if you just had Hell in a Cell be a match on a pay-per-view, it would feel much better. Safa says Hell in a Cell and TLC need to go, and Extreme Rules. Extreme Rules. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I agree with TLC as well. I feel like that would be much better somewhere else. I do. Just give it a generic brand name, a generic name for a pay-per-view. You don't even have to have the same ones every single year. They don't even go all out and do different sets. So it really doesn't even matter what they call it. All you have to do is make a graphic and throw it up on the screen, and that's about it. There's nothing really into it these days. You know, back in the day, they used to have very unique sets for all of the pay-per-views and stuff like that, and they don't do that anymore. And I doubt they even will go back to doing that. Anthony says Hell in a Cell seems better than Great Balls of Fire. Well, yeah, but yeah, it does. But like, you know, you don't have to do those, because now you're forcing storylines to get into a Hell in a Cell. You're forcing storylines to be in a TLC. You're forcing storylines to be inside of Extreme Rules or whichever one I didn't mention. Whatever it is, you're forcing those to go back. And you don't need to. You don't need to. Anthony says bring back Armageddon or No Mercy. Those were both great pay-per-views. I liked both of those. Armageddon was so cool. I like that for one. Maddie says if Ciampa and Thatcher win the titles, when they would fight Gargano in Theory, chef's kiss. That would be crazy. That would be crazy to see. DNM says, what's happening, my man? It's been a long time. How you doing, my friend? Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you enjoyed the show tonight if you were able to watch it. Marcel says, I forgot about WrestleMania Hell in a Cell. I'm so happy that that's not a thing that's going to happen. I was so worried when they had WrestleMania Backlash. I'm like, bro, they're going to destroy that WrestleMania brand name if they're tying it into all of this shit. Ashton says Unforgiven was an underrated pay-per-view name. Yeah, I like it. I like it too. I'm down for it. I would way rather have those than the other ones. Safa says I thought Extreme Rules was gone. It hasn't happened this year. It was switched with Money in the Bank, I believe. So it's going to be later in the year. Or it was switched with something. I can't remember what it was, but it was switched with something. It's supposed to be later in the year. What about Survivor Series? I'm totally cool with Survivor Series being a thing, because it's cool, it's unique, and you can always do the brand warfare thing. Like that's totally fine with me. The only thing that I wish, like in terms of Survivor Series and the Royal Rumble, is that I wish WWE as a whole would make a decision as to who is included in these. I don't want to see NXT be included partially in the Royal Rumble and then not be in Survivor Series. And I don't want to see NXT be involved in Survivor Series one year and then not be involved in it the next year. So they need to figure out if they're going to be included or not, because they're not included this time around, to my knowledge, from what I understand. So just give us all of them or just exclude NXT. But it doesn't even make sense to exclude NXT at this point anyways, because they are the better show. Easily. People that actually like professional wrestling and grew up watching wrestling, NXT is that show. Raw and SmackDown have gotten way too far away from these things as well. DNM says, if I'm being honest, LA Knight winning the $1 Million Championship was the better choice because of how it's a way to build up Cameron Grimes. Yeah, I will agree. I do think that way now as well. I wasn't necessarily sure what route they were going to go with LA Knight. I kind of thought that he was just going to be like paired with Ted DiBiase, but I like the route that they went to. Judgment Day as well. Judgment Day is a good one. Like, look at how many really good pay-per-view names you guys have popped off. Like Fly says, Bad Blood. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them that you could just put in there, and then you could just fit these other things in where it's like, okay, this feud between these two guys is getting crazy. Like, let's bring out the Hell in a Cell. And it'll be special. It's not like, oh, okay, well, it's this month, so that means that Hell in a Cell's coming up, so that I know that it's going to happen all the time. They made LA Knight look like MJF. They actually, tonight is the first night that they made LA Knight be someone that I feel like you could actually even be interested in whatsoever. Maddie says switched with Hell in a Cell. There you go. Yeah. Switched with Hell in a Cell. So it will be later this year. Maddie says, I'll give them a pass with NXT not being at Survivor Series last year with the pandemic and different locations. It's fair enough, but I want a clear path of what we're doing and what's going on going forward. I don't want to see the rules change every single time unless it's just going to be one brand versus another. And if that's the case, like maybe this year it's Raw versus NXT. Maybe the next year it's Raw versus SmackDown. Maybe the year after that it's SmackDown versus NXT. If it's just two, that's fine. But just kind of figure out where we're at and where we're going. I don't like it when rules just change and things just change. Grimes is so over. Yeah, Cameron Grimes rules, man. Cameron Grimes rules. Trevin says WWE has so many pay-per-views and wish they can use some of them for a theme for main shows. I wouldn't even mind that. Like, we've talked about this, about how WWE has too many pay-per-views and how it's too much of a formula of just 4 weeks pay-per-view, 4 weeks pay-per-view, 3 weeks pay-per-view, 4 weeks pay-per-view. And you're just always rushing to things where it would be cool if they just limited their pay-per-views to being like WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and the Royal Rumble. Man, so you would have to tie Money in the Bank to WrestleMania and then maybe just have Elimination Chamber be a thing that pops up every couple of years or every other year, or just maybe even on like just a big show or something like that. And then, or maybe even just fuck it, just have it be like some crazy ass episode of Raw or SmackDown that has an Elimination Chamber on it or something. Like, I don't know, but it would be a nice way to make the pay-per-views feel more special. And then you could just do what AEW and NXT have been doing, where you just give Raw and SmackDown like a gimmicked show that's pay-per-view-esque, that you put some title matches on that feel more important and draw more viewers. I would certainly like something like that better. DMM says Samoa Joe versus Adam Cole is a confrontation match I would love to see more of. That segment was perfect. Fly says Elimination Chamber would work for Survivor Series. Actually, you're right. It would. It really would. Yeah. And then you could just make an alteration. So you could have 2 from each brand. You could have 6 people, 2 from NXT, 2 from Raw, 2 from SmackDown, 2 guys started off, 4 guys in the pod. There you go. It's that easy. That easy. Or of course you could just do Raw or Raw and SmackDown or whatever the two brands were that were competing at Survivor Series. I think that would work as well. Or I guess you could even just, no, I don't know if mixing them up like that would work, where if you had just like all three of them, but every match wasn't a triple threat. So maybe some champions just weren't defending. I don't know how that would work. That might be a little bit sloppy. Not putting people in matches where the crowd or the people feel like they should be in, but I don't know, just an idea. So it's not so much of a formula. Fly says, and the winner gets a shot at their brand's respective titles. Yeah, I like it. Josh says, yeah, did you see when Grimes came out of to his theme and he didn't even have to say to the moon? He just pointed to the sky and the crowd said it. He is so over. He is. Cameron Grimes rules, man. Cameron Grimes is already on his path. He is going to the moon. It's so good. I can't wait. When he beats LA Knight's ass and he gets that $1 million championship, yeah, it's going to be good. Ashton says we would be such good bookers, right? And that's why I think it's funny, because we can just sit here and bullshit, right? On an NXT post show. We're just sitting here, we're chatting, right? And I don't put any thought to any of this stuff. So I come up with some ideas, you guys come up with some ideas, we bounce them off each other for 2 seconds, and we come up with something great. And it's like you have an entire creative, quote unquote, creative team that is supposed to do some stuff like this. And yet all we get is the same things every week. Like, I don't get it. And even for AOW Underground, if you're not, if you don't participate in that, we do that on Mondays, and essentially the YouTube chat books how AOW Underground goes. So they picked the roster, they picked the matches, the feuds, and all the championships that we were going to have, and all that stuff. They picked everything. And the shows are so cohesive, and like everything literally makes sense in AOW Underground. And it's literally just 20, 30 people playing a video game online on the fly, creating a better product than people that are getting paid 6 figures plus to do and have been in business for 30 years. Like that's the kind of stuff that just blows my mind. It's like, damn, it is absolutely crazy. Maddie says Legado del Fantasma, or at least Santos Escobar, might be the most over person from the pandemic in NXT. I love Legado del Fantasma so much. They are so good. Santos Escobar is great, and I really like the pairing of Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde with him as well. It's worked. They have that appearance. They have their music is great as well, which I mentioned on Sunday. Their music is it's so good. Everything is so good about Legado del Fantasma. Aside from Escobar losing like 3 or 4 title matches in a row now and trying to get more, aside from that, it's great. Elvis says, I'd love for Regal to get physical and put on those brass knuckles and knock some guys out like Johnny and Adam. Yeah. I was thinking about that. I think we talked slightly about that when Johnny Gargano was like looking to push over the brass knuckles or something like that. That was hilarious. DNM says, I thought Adam Cole would be the one to disrespect Regal earlier tonight. Gargano's too goofy and Dunn doesn't care. Cole was the one to punch Regal not too long ago. I loved that Cole and O'Reilly and Samoa Joe interaction earlier on in the show. That was so good. Let's not forget the world's greatest Royal Rumble. Oh man. Anthony says, who in the main roster do you think would be better on NXT, or who do you think should go back? Damian Priest, for sure, is one. I don't even think he's been on the show recently, which is weird to me as well, but I guess it is what it is. Maybe Piper Niven as well. Maybe she should go back to NXT UK. If they're going to name her Doudrop, or however you pronounce that. I don't even know. Is that even something? I didn't even look. Doudrop. Is Doudrop something? No. When I search that, it just says it's all about rumors about her being named Doudrop. I don't even know what the hell that's supposed to be. Like, what? It's crazy, man. Anthony says that if Regal leaves, NXT will die. I don't think NXT will die if William Regal leaves. I just think that he's the last part that we are clamoring on to from the WWE Network era of NXT. Because that stuff was just so good, man. He's like the last part of that. And I would hate to see him go. And I'm really glad that Samoa Joe is just working with him as opposed to taking over for him. Josh has question all. Where the heck is Keith Lee? Since Braun is gone, they need a powerful big guy. Keith Lee is supposedly not clear to wrestle. And pretty much like that's that, apparently. Like, I don't know anything else about it. I don't know why he's not cleared. I don't know the ins and outs of anything. He says that he is going to tell people when the time comes, but other than that, I don't know. Oh God, okay. I had to take off my hoodie. A little hot in here. But yeah, I don't know. He says that he's gonna tell the story, so we just have to wait for that to happen. For people, I feel like some people might know that are reporters or are working with WWE and doing that thing, but they're not telling people. And I think that's great. Like it's obviously it's a personal issue, it's a health issue or something going on with Keith Lee, and that's not everyone's business. So when he's ready to tell everyone, then you know that's good. But other than that, he's not clear to wrestle. That's all I know. Obi James says AEW's women's division is better than Raw women's division. Boy, how the tables have turned. I know, right? The Raw and even SmackDown. I don't think the Raw and SmackDown women's divisions are good whatsoever. And I do kind of want to touch on that a little bit as well today when we get to talking about the show, which we probably should get to talking about. Not cleared. Yeah, he's not cleared. He hasn't been cleared for a while. And no one knows what's going on. So I wish Keith Lee the best, but I have no clue. Ashton says Keith Lee wants to keep his personal life private, so we'll never know. He said on Twitter that he's going to tell everyone what's going on at some point, but it's just not now. Now's not the time. So I don't know what the actual problem is. DNM says Candice loves beefing with everybody now, which is another thing I want to talk about later on with women's tag team championships, man. Trevin says Aleister Black would have been my pick for someone to go back to NXT, but he might be in AEW soon. I could certainly see Black going to AEW. I think so. And him going to signing back with WWE and going to NXT just wouldn't really make any sense to me, considering that, like, and this is, Joe didn't really make sense either, but this one's a little bit different, considering that we had reports or rumors, whatever you want to call it, of Aleister Black requesting to go back to NXT while he was off TV for 6 or 7 months, not doing anything. And they denied his request. They said no. And then shortly afterwards, they let Finn Balor go back to NXT. So it seems weird that you have Aleister Black on your roster. He wants to go work in NXT and you tell him no. And then you fire him, and then you hire him back just to put him in NXT. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. If that were the case, perhaps maybe it is a money issue where it's like, well, we're in a contract with you for X amount of money, and there's no way that we're going to pay you X amount of money to go work on NXT. Maybe. I don't know. Anthony says he confirmed that the NXT stuff was fake on his Twitch stream. Interesting. Interesting enough. Okay. Interesting. I was not aware of that. Anthony says one of the biggest mistakes WWE has made was not giving Braun the title sooner and making The Fiend lose to Gold. Yeah. Yeah. I think that Braun Strowman should have been the world champion when he was killing Roman Reigns every single night on Monday Night Raw. That was the time to put that title on Braun, and they waited 3-4 years after that. It just didn't make sense. Maddie says, I like the booking of the women's division in NXT. I hate the women's tag team championships. I hate them. I hate them on the main roster, and I hate them in NXT as well. They don't make sense, and they're not booked the way that they should be. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense the way that they do things. And I wouldn't have mind if they would have just let NXT have a run with those tag titles for a little bit, but introducing another set of them is just, God, it's just too much. Jose says, is Mia Yim injured? I'm not sure. I am not sure. The last thing that I heard about Mia Yim is that she was going to make her SmackDown debut as Mia Yim and not Reckoning on the retro episode of SmackDown, but due to time constraints, her match got changed to it being like Ruby Riott, I think, instead. Or Liv Morgan or something, Carmella, some shit like that. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, her match got removed and I haven't heard anything else since then. Josh says Cross is too strong. Would be pointless for Black to go back to NXT. They need to push Priest back to NXT ASAP before he is next. Yeah, he hasn't been on TV for a while, to my knowledge. Fly says, according to Black, at least in the live stream right after he was let go, he never got denied. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I believe him. I believe his words over what someone reported. Interesting though. Let's see here. DNF says, when Kyle was watching the match, I thought they were gonna reveal that he's been mentoring Trey Baxter. I thought he was gonna interfere and go after Kushida's Cruiserweight Championship. That's what I thought was gonna happen. Anthony says, speaking of Braun, are we still getting the choo-choo train on the soundboard? I mean, we could, but I don't really find a use for it now. Because I don't watch Raw or SmackDown at the time, and even for the pay-per-views like that I do cover, he's not going to be on them. You can use it for something else, though. Maddie says, I think the NXT tag titles are starting to do much better than they were at the beginning. Yeah, the beginning of them, dude, I hated that. They gave them to Raquel and Dakota, and then they lost them on the same night. Like, come on, please. Please, please, please. Jose says, for some reason, when I first saw Trey Baxter, he looked like a knockoff Buddy Murphy. I saw someone else compare him to Buddy Murphy earlier. I'm not familiar with Blake Christian, who was his former name. Trevin says, you know, Keith Lee and Mia Yim could be gone to prepare for their wedding. I'm not sure, though. It's only their business for us to respect. It's definitely not for that. It's a health issue. Keith Lee is not cleared to wrestle. That's all I know. He's not cleared to wrestle. What was the whole thing with the battery percentage? I don't know. My first thought was that it was Diamond Mine or Roderick Strong. And then someone in my comments mentioned that it could be Tegan Knox. And then I was like, wait a minute. So we saw the battery segment after or before women's segment. So that was like, okay, that makes sense. Tegan Knox. I could see that. I could definitely see it being Tegan Knox. I see it being Tegan Knox more than Roderick Strong. And later on in the show, we got a Diamond Mine promotional vignette video as well, so I think that excludes them as well. So I'm going with Tegan Knox. Ashley says Marina Shafir repackaging. Maybe. To me, I don't know why, but I feel like the battery charging up, like, I don't know, a 100% battery charge up just kind of reminds me of like Captain Marvel and kind of like being powered up and then kind of having it be, I don't know, tied to Tegan Knox, if that makes sense. That's where I'm going with it, but I don't know. DNM says, was I the only person that thought Tegan Knox was going to return tonight and save Io Shirai from Candice and Indy? Candice did put Tegan on the shelf. That would have been great. I didn't think she was going to return tonight. I think they're definitely going to milk this battery thing for a couple weeks. I mean, they've been doing Time in Mind for like 3 months now, I feel like. Elver says, I want Bray to return soon, even though WWE has failed him multiple times. He's one of the best people the company has, and I'd hate if he leaves or gets released. Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for Bray. Maddie says, I cannot wait for Ridge Holland to return. Me either. Ridge Holland was great, man. It sucks that he had to have that crazy injury and be out for so long, because he was getting pretty hot there in NXT. Okay, so let's see here. We're 40 minutes into this. Let's go ahead and start talking about this show tonight. Maybe be here for about an hour and a half or so. We might play some games later. I might stream some games a little bit later. I have a couple things to do when we're done here. And then yeah, I'll figure that out. Tanvir says Samoa Joe beating Cross will destroy everything Cross has been doing. I think Samoa Joe and Cross is counterproductive because you have two guys that are essentially the same, right? And actually, wait, we'll talk about that in just a second. Anthony says something that has way better than NXT TakeOver in this show was Vince trying to bury the Fiend on Money in the Bank. Yes, absolutely crazy. Leroy says congratulations to Jon Moxley and Renee Paquette on the birth of their baby girl. Yes, congratulations to them. I completely forgot to mention that earlier, so thank you for that. Shout out to them. They are both parents now. Okay, so here we go. Let's get into the show. Tonight's episode of NXT opened up with William Regal making his way to the ring. And I was very sad. About this because there was no music. And William Regal's music is one of my favorites. It's so sinister. It's so evil. It's so good, man. William Regal's music is top notch. Definitely one of my favorites of all time in theme songs, if I'm being honest. So William Regal makes his way out to the ring. He's talking about how amazing the journey in NXT has been and about him and Papa H. They dreamed of doing stuff like this and they put it together, and that they never dreamed that it would be this way, and that he spends countless hours thinking about NXT and everything that they can do. And he got teary-eyed and got all upset, and he really made it seem like he was leaving. It really felt like this was the last time that we would see William Regal on WWE TV. And I'm not sure if it's all that William Regal would just be gone from NXT, but like a part of me also was like, damn, if they're taking William Regal from NXT, is he retiring? Like, does he want to be done with this, or are they going to put him on Raw or SmackDown as the GM? And that's kind of what I feared. So this was great. Like I said, he had tears in his eyes. He was crying. He had some tears on his cheeks as well, and he was getting all emotional about it. And then of course Karrion Kross came out, got in his face and said that he couldn't handle this anymore, and that he wanted him to admit that Kross was right, and that this is now Kross's show. And then Samoa Joe made his return to WWE, and more importantly, to WWE NXT. This man came out in a suit, and William Regal pretty much offered him the general manager position for NXT, and he said no. He turned down William Regal's opportunity, or offer, if you will. He turned down the offer to become the general manager. And I was like, okay. So we were right. I think we talked about this on Sunday, that he would be in some sort of bodyguard, some sort of enforcer role here on NXT. And he pretty much said that that's what he would like to do. And William Regal was like, look, you can't be an in-ring performer. You can't wrestle. You can't lay your hands on people. And when he said that, Joe was kind of like, oh, look kind of bummed. Like, man, can't lay my hands on people. And they kind of panned out a little bit to include Kross in the shot. And he said, unless provoked. And then things got a little bit more intense. And Joe accepted. So as of the first 15, 20 minutes of this show, William Regal is staying on as the general manager of NXT. And Samoa Joe will be his special enforcer / bodyguard, whatever it is that you want to call him. He's going to do that for NXT, and he's going to make sure that things don't get out of hands. He's going to make sure that people stay in their place and that they respect William Regal. It was great. This was a really good opening to the show, and this was like 20 minutes long. 20 minutes. And it was perfect. They teased the Samoa Joe and the Kross stuff, which I think is completely counterproductive. I'm not sure if Samoa Joe's going to get cleared or not, but if he does, a match between Joe and Kross doesn't make sense to me. Really, like, to bring Joe back to lose to Kross is kind of like, to have Cross lose to Joe is kind of like, kind of weird too. And the problem is that you just had Karrion Kross defeat their entire main event scene in one match. So Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Johnny Gargano, Pete Dunne, they all lost to Karrion Kross. So who's left on the NXT roster to take on Karrion Kross and challenge for the NXT Championship? To me, I don't feel like it should be any of them. It certainly shouldn't be Kyle O'Reilly. Maybe Pete Dunne, Johnny Gargano, definitely not. So I don't know. It just seems counterproductive. And I don't know who the challenger is going to be for Kross. I have no clue whatsoever. DNM says, is it weird how Kross just turned heel? It looked like Kross was going to develop more as a babyface. I feel like they realize that people aren't necessarily interested in Kross. And I feel like they need to have him do things that will piss people off to get them to boo him. Because even at TakeOver, the crowd was more alive tonight than they were for TakeOver. And I don't know if that's because the crowd was pissed off because of all the shenanigans they had to go through to get to TakeOver. So if you didn't hear, on Sunday, they were told that they're not allowed to park at the Performance Center, which is where the Capitol Wrestling Center is. They had to park at Full Sail. And then WWE would send a bus, and that bus would pick them up and take them to the Capitol Wrestling Center. And then after the show, the bus would take them back to Full Sail, and they'd be able to get in their cars and leave. But apparently, it took forever, and it was pouring down rain or something like that. So I don't know. Maybe the people were pissed about it, but that crowd for TakeOver was not that great. And when Karrion Kross retained that championship, it was silent. You could hear, I feel like you could hear, if they turned his music off, you could hear a pin drop after that. There was no cheers. There was no boos. There was nothing but his music playing. Ashton says, is it bad that I'm losing interest in Adam and Pierce? I don't know, because I don't know what they're doing with him. But I feel like he's always been sort of an odder role in the company. Just calling him a WWE official, and then he just like randomly had power that from one day forward. Like, I don't know. It just didn't make sense to me. Maddie says, I think you wait until you get a really good and over new wrestler in NXT to take the title. I mean, yeah, you're definitely probably right. I mean, what else are they going to do? You could put the title on Pete Dunne if you wanted to, and I don't think I'd be mad at that as long as they found a way to get there. So we talked about this on the post show, I believe on Sunday for In Your House, is that a lot of us believe that, oh, wait, no, that's not going to happen anymore because Adam Cole's fighting Kyle O'Reilly at Great American Bash. Because a lot of us thought that Kross would be defending his championship against Adam Cole at Great American Bash. So I don't know, maybe there will be another takeover in Adam Cole's future. I don't know. It's weird. It's really weird, man. It's really weird. Leroy says, I heard a rumor that Cena is returning on July 9th episode of SmackDown, which is the day before my birthday. Well, that is awesome. I heard that they're looking to have him for SummerSlam. So who knows? I wouldn't be surprised. Maddie says, I love the silence whenever Kross is on screen. It makes me feel like he is the scariest beast that no one even wants to make a sound around. Fair enough. I can see that. Elver says, imagine VCam tries to yell to the Fiend, you're fired, and the Fiend puts the mandible claw on him before he could even get fired. That'd be great. I would love to see Vince McMahon get the mandible claw. I would love it. So yeah, great opening segment tonight. Happy to see Joe in NXT. Well, at this point in the show, I was still kind of like, I don't necessarily know if Samoa Joe made the right decision. And I can't speak for Joe, obviously, because I don't know the money that's involved. I can't pretend to know what his aspirations are for the future. I don't know if it was his goal to be in WWE, like this is where he wants to be. You know, maybe going to NXT, maybe that's what he wanted. I personally wanted to see Samoa Joe wrestle again, and I don't know if maybe that's not possible. Maybe Joe couldn't get cleared. Perhaps. anywhere else. I don't know. Maybe he just wanted to be in NXT, but to me, I was like, man, I'm not fully sold on this. Like, I think it'll be good, but we'll see, right? We'll see. So after this opening segment, we had our first match, which was Imperium taking on Breezango. And a couple weeks ago, I believe it was a couple weeks ago, we saw Walter. He was like FaceTiming, he was Zooming, whatever. Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel. And he was telling them that they needed to take out Alexander Wolf or whatever, and that they needed to go back to get the gold, the tag team championships. But first, they needed to make an example out of Breezango. So that's how we got to this match tonight. Breezango versus Imperium. And of course, in typical WWE fashion, this match ended. This was a good match, by the way, but this match ended with a surprise roll-up from Tyler Breeze. I can't remember which member of Imperium that it was. So Tyler Breeze steals the win for Breezango over Imperium, and then Imperium gets the last laugh at the end. They end up getting Breeze before he's able to get out of the ring. They beat the hell out of him, and then they have this big black Imperium banner or flag, if you want to call it that, and they put it over the top of him laid out. It's weird booking to me. Like, I don't get the surprise victories. Like, I get like when those happen, but they happen a lot in WWE where someone will steal a victory and then they'll just get their ass beat afterwards. And it's kind of like this weird, it's like 50-50 booking without having more than one match. So like, yeah, Breezango gets the win, but like they don't look strong afterwards. And Imperium doesn't look weak afterwards because they look strong afterwards. And Breezango looked weak afterwards. So it was kind of like a mesh of like, meh. Like just a mesh of nothing soup. Like no one's getting over, no one's doing anything. It's just making everyone be in this mush of nothingness. Chloe says, if you want to see VKM get hit with a mandible claw, come to AOW Underground. Yes. Who is more intimidating, Karrion Kross or Brock Lesnar? Brock Lesnar, because that man is huge. Huge. We should have a Fiend versus Vince McMahon match in AOW Underground. And you know what? I was watching CM Pulse stream last night, and he was playing 2K19, I believe, and he was doing a tournament for WWE versus AEW. So it was a tournament, and every single match, like the first matches were WWE versus AEW. And it just kind of gave me some cool ideas of things that we could do aside from AOW Underground and stuff that we could just do on 2K20. So we'll think of some other cool things to go over, because I want to do dream matches as well. And at the end of the last episode of AOW Underground there was a lot of like really good creative whatever the hell they're called, there was a lot of really good ones. So I really want to go through and download a bunch of them and have some like dream matches and some crazy stuff. Anthony says a mash of meh. Yeah, it's just bleh. Like it's just nothing. Ashley says, screw this, let's have AOW Underground tonight. Who's with me? Oh god, not tonight. I wish. I don't know. I might be playing a game with some friends later though. I'm not sure if we're gonna play Overwatch, or I think we might try out Minecraft Dungeons, because I've heard that was pretty entertaining. So we'll see. DNM says, honestly, LA Knight is the best talker on the mic out of all the NXT wrestlers. Not just NXT, but he's the best talker in WWE right now. Well, I mean, I feel like he dedicated his entire promo training to The Rock. So every time he opens his mouth, I just see The Rock, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because it's great, but you can just tell. It's very easy to tell. So after this match, we got another backstage segment. Well, not another. We got our first backstage segment of the night. We had Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole kind of trying to attack each other with William Regal in the middle, trying to separate them. And he said, look, enough is enough, okay? I've had it. You guys can have one more match. So at the Great American Bash in 3 weeks, it'll be Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly in a singles match, and we'll find out who the better man is. And eventually, the guys holding Cole and O'Reilly back weren't able to hold, I think it was Cole that got loose. And he attacked Kyle O'Reilly, and then Samoa Joe came in. He threw back Adam Cole, got into Kyle O'Reilly's face, and then Adam Cole came up from behind, pushed Samoa Joe out of the way, and started attacking Kyle O'Reilly again. Samoa Joe stood there, shocked after he got pushed. And it was like he said, did this motherfucker really just push me? Like, it was like he was so confused where he was like, really? This man's Adam Cole just put his hands on me? He stood there for, I don't know, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, give or take, whatever it was. He comes up from behind Adam Cole, puts him to sleep. Puts him to sleep within seconds. Drops Adam Cole right down to the ground. And then the best part of all of it is that he says, you tell him when he wakes up to meet us in William Regal's office. Oh my God, man. This was so good. And it was at this point that I realized this is probably the best thing that could have happened with Samoa Joe and NXT. I absolutely love this. I am sold. I am all in on Samoa Joe being the special enforcer, the bodyguard for William Regal and NXT. This was it. This was all I needed. And more importantly than any of this, these segments are great, right? We get that. But there's a lot of us that still have hopes that Samoa Joe will get cleared to wrestle. So while all of this stuff is going on, we're still sitting there saying like, man, Samoa Joe got in Karrion Kross's face. There could be a match. Man, Samoa Joe just got in Kyle O'Reilly's face. He just choked out Adam Cole. Later, he gets into it with Johnny Gargano. Right after that, he gets into it with Pete Dunne. So like, not only is he backstage, but man, they are teasing the hell out of some of these really incredible matches that could happen if Samoa Joe gets cleared. And I think that's the most exciting thing about all of it, just because it's so up in the air and we don't necessarily know what's going to happen. It's not in control of anyone. It's just in the powers that be, the wrestling gods, if Samoa Joe gets cleared, which I love. I love that so much. Chloe says Samoa Joe really said, go to sleep, baby. Yeah, he did. It was so good. I loved that so much. Obi James says Cole is still sleeping via reports. I can imagine. Fly says, and Adam Cole slept the night off. Yeah, put him to sleep. Which I was kind of surprised that we didn't see. We saw Kyle O'Reilly shortly afterwards, but I thought we were gonna see Adam Cole pick his opponent for next week's NXT, but we didn't. So that was kind of funny as well. DNM says, I feel like Adam Cole is the type of guy who was at school in a fight and slaps the administrator who stops the fight. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. What if Sonya did this with Adam and Pierce? Choked him out? I would love it. I want Sonya Deville to return to the ring as well. Really bad. I would love to see Sonya Deville win the Money in the Bank briefcase. And Cesaro. Or Damian Priest. But, you know, it is what it is. Leroy says Johnny Gargano versus Samoa Joe happened back in 2016. And that it would be amazing to happen in 2021. Or 2022. Whatever. Trevin says William Regal gets to stay and Samoa Joe looks dominant even without wrestling. Sounds like a win-win in my book. It does. And, it kind of makes me wonder what the future of NXT is going to look like as well. Like, Samoa Joe is going to whoop people's asses for a couple weeks, right? But then, like, you would think that everyone would eventually fall in line, I guess, to steal some words from your tribal chief, Roman Reigns. But you would think everyone would change their attitudes and not try to get at Samoa Joe or piss him off because he'll just put you to sleep. I don't know. So that's something to look forward to as well. Is like, what is the landscape going to look like of NXT after he's at control for a little bit? How's it going, Philip? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Fly says, thought after Johnny mocked Cole, Adam would have picked him. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Cole will pick Cross. I don't know. I'm interested to see who his opponent is. I certainly wasn't expecting Kyle O'Reilly to pick Kushida. Anthony says, why didn't Joe do this when he was on the main roster? I don't know. I mean, he was on commentary, so it'd be kind of hard to do that on commentary. But he did stand up to someone, I can't remember who it was, but someone was trying to put someone through the commentary table, and he stood up and was like, no, fuck out of here, bro. You're not going to destroy my table, which was a great moment as well. That was great. Next up, we had a little segment here with Santos Escobar in a backstage area. He had a Legado del Fantasma banner hanging up in the background. And essentially all of this was him wanting another championship match. So we talked about this. I already said that this was going to happen. That even when this match was announced, that what was going to happen was that Raul Mendoza or Joaquin Wilde, they were going to be one of the ones to take the pinfall in this. And then Santos Escobar would be like, hey, bro, I'm not the one that lost this, so I deserve another match. And here we are. Santos Escobar wants another match. He wants another shot at Bronson Reed and the NXT North American Championship. And I'm sure they're probably going to do it sometime soon on an episode of just a regular episode of NXT. Maybe they'll save it for Great American Bash to kind of stack that show out. I'm not sure, but I definitely feel like it's going to happen. And it'll be a good match, but the thing that sucks is that Escobar has just been losing title matches back to back to back to back to back. There's no real reason for him to continue being on in them other than the matches just being good. Griffin says Joe stood up to Rollins. It was Rollins. Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, that was great, man. That was great. Ashley says, who in their right mind would want to pick Cross? Someone who feels like they're one of the best wrestlers in the world. Adam Cole. You know, and that's the promo that he said, like, look, he said, WWE wants to make you look special. So they give you the fancy entrance, the music, the lights, the fog, everything that you need to look like a superstar. You know what they do to make Adam Cole look like a superstar? They ring the bell. That's it. And it was a great burn. It was a great burn. A lot of people talked about that. And I don't disagree. I think Adam Cole is one of the best. So I don't know. We'll see. I definitely don't think it feels weird that if Cross and Cole is just kind of over, because it seemed like there was more tension between those two that didn't necessarily get finished or wrapped up in that big match. Ashley says NXT creates superstars, WWE destroys them, which is one of the reasons why I say that sometimes it's hard to get invested into NXT, is because you have these people that you get introduced to, or you're familiar with them on the indies or whatever it is, and you fall in love with them on NXT because their name's great, their music is great, their presentation is great, their moveset is great, like everything about them you just love. And we'll take Keith Lee, for example. Keith Lee was great. Music was great. Name was great. Attire was great. Presentation was great. Moveset was great. Everything was great. He was the NXT champion and the North American champion at the same time. Then he moved on to the main roster. They changed his outfit. They changed his music. They didn't change his name. They put him in repetitive stuff that didn't make him feel special. They limited his moveset. And it's like, why even have the NXT brand be connected to Raw or SmackDown if what you're going to do is just completely strip them of everything that they were? And imagine Seth Rollins, right, on SmackDown, and he just quietly gets moved over to Raw, and all of a sudden he's not Seth Rollins. That's not his name anymore. They're not like, hey, isn't that Seth Rollins from SmackDown? They're just like, hey, who's this guy? Who's this guy that's like a messiah? What the hell is he doing over here? His moveset's different, and it's like, bro, we've been watching this guy on our TV for so long. What's the point of removing everything? Like, he was popular on this show because he did these things. Moving him over and changing all of those things about him is going to make us not interested in that person. So I'll never understand that. Chloe says, if Dexter Lumis ever goes to the main roster, there's going to be a segment called Lumis Breaks His Silence. I can already see it. Yeah. And I feel like they would make it even. I saw a lot of people mad that they named him Dexter Lumis in WWE because it was like a giveaway that he's kind of like Dexter in a way of like how he dresses. and with the apron or whatever you call them. So I could see them just totally playing something out like that where they make it even more completely obvious. Ashley says Keith Lee had everything to be a main eventer. WWE went out and put him in a damn skirt, changed his theme to generic theme 5, and got fat shamed by his boss. There's a lot of people that think that that's partially part of the problem as to why Keith Lee is not cleared to wrestle, or he's not wrestling. I don't want to speculate on that part particularly, but I don't know. It seems kind of a weird thing. And, they had, let's not forget about that time where they sent Keith Lee and Otis and someone else away to do additional training. And people found out about it. And I think it was Triple H or something that said, like, yeah, people practice all the time. Like, football players have practice. And it's like, that's not what that was. Like, you guys practice on their own time. When you're sending people for big guy stuff, that's not necessarily just regular training. You're trying to change the way the things that made Keith Lee special, Dexter Lumis should never go to the main roster. Completely agree. I don't know if they would understand how to handle a character like that. And even Dexter Lumis has been kind of weird in NXT for a while now as well, with the whole Indy Hartwell thing. I don't know. Victor says when Cross got to NXT, he Bronson Reed. So what if Cross attacks Samoa Joe? Bronson Reed being Samoan backs up Samoa Joe, wrestles Cross, and takes the belt. I don't know. I mean, I could definitely see Bronson Reed up in that area, but it feels way too soon for Bronson Reed to me. Ashley says people were pissed off that Keith Lee was sent to the Performance Center. Yeah, and Otis too. Like, look at Otis, right? People loved Otis because he was big and goofy, and he did the worm, or the caterpillar. That's what made people love Otis. Then what? They stripped him of all of his fun stuff, and they made him a heel. And now he shaved his beard off, which is weird as well. Like, it doesn't look nearly as good. And it's like, of course people aren't interested, because that's what made Otis special. He was a big guy, and he was goofy. He was funny. And they were like from what I heard, Vince McMahon was like all about Otis. He loved it. He thought Otis was great. And, they put the Money in the Bank briefcase on him, and then bam, just like that, it was a wrap for Otis. It was over. The second that Money in the Bank briefcase fell and landed on him in his hands, that was the death of Otis. That was the death. That feud for that Money in the Bank briefcase was god awful, and everything else that happened during that was so bad. And now, like, I like the team of Chad Gable and Otis, but I just don't like where it's going. Victor says bring back Kona Reeves to beat Cross. Oh God, not the coffee man, not Kona Reeves. No. Elver says, how do you feel about Cesaro disrespecting your master, Father Rollins, by taking his pants off on live television? I always think that it's weird when someone gets stripped of their pants on live television, and they're just kind of like, I mean, I know that they're wrestling in little panties, but like, it's kind of different to be in your little panties, not your wrestling panties. But I love Cesaro. I want Cesaro to be pushed, wait for it, to the moon more than anything. So it's fine. DNM says, I'm surprised how we were supposed to see Dakota Kai turn on Raquel, but instead they make them still heels as a duo. Yeah, that's weird too, and I definitely want to talk about that. Ashton says Angel Garza gets a free pass. Yes, Angel Garza is the only guy that can be taking his pants off on TV. Fly says, do we need a big guy to make it convincing that Cross is in danger, or can we have an underdog story? I don't know where Cross is going to go. I'm so confused. Like, for me, if I was Booker Man, when Cross got injured and had to relinquish the title, that would have been it for Cross. That would have been the end of his story in NXT. I would have moved him to Raw the second he was able to come back. I wouldn't have had him come back and win the championship. It just seems so, like, unnecessary. It seems so unnecessary to me. And, maybe the story for Cross is that he has no challengers and there is no one that can beat him. So maybe he'll pull an Asuka. Maybe he won't have, let's hope he doesn't have the championship for that long. But, maybe Cross will pull an Asuka and he'll be like, look, I've beaten everyone in NXT. There's no one here to challenge me. So I'm done. Here's your championship back. And he'll just go out undefeated. Maybe. That didn't work well for Asuka on the main roster, but, maybe it'll work for Cross. Victor says Otis looks like the guy who stole Pee Wee Herman's bike. I haven't seen that movie, but I saw so many people say that I looked it up on Google, and I thought that was pretty funny. Pretty funny. Enigma says, am I late to the party? Just a little bit. Yeah, just an hour and 10 minutes. But we're not that far into the show yet. Albert says, I feel like Cesaro could win his first world title with the Money in the Bank. But I think it'd be better if he wins a Royal Rumble match and gets a special moment in front of a packed crowd at Mania. I'm not mad at either of those. You could have a really special moment with Money in the Bank. And, I still don't think that they should take the title off of Roman Reigns, but a crazy Money in the Bank cash-in wouldn't be the worst way to get it off of him. Enigma says the main event tonight should have been at TakeOver. I would agree with that. That was a great match. That would have made the show a lot better for sure. Okay, so next up we had KUSHIDA. The KUSHIDA Open Challenge continued, and tonight we had a debuting Trey Baxter, who is formerly known as Blake Christian. I've seen a lot of comparisons to him and Buddy Murphy, and overall I thought the match was pretty good. Like I said earlier, I'm not familiar with Blake Christian or anything like that, but I did love what they did with him tonight in NXT. They announced him, they announced who he was. They gave him a nice little video package, and even in defeat, he looked good. That's something that I like a lot. And they did that with Zoe Starks as well, where, like, to me, it mattered. Like, a loss is a loss. Yes, it certainly is. But there are ways to make people look good in losses. That does not include getting a surprise victory and then beating them up afterwards. If you put me in the ring, okay, with Roman Reigns, and I last 20 minutes in the ring with Roman Reigns, bro, I am ecstatic. Like, I just killed it. No, maybe I didn't beat Roman Reigns, but bro, 20 minutes surviving against someone that is that good, that's like, even if you threw me in a boxing match, I never boxed a day in my life. Put me in the ring with Floyd Mayweather and he knocks me out in the 5th round. Like, bro, that is a W for me. That is an absolute W. Like, to be able to last that long against someone that good says something. Now, if I hop in the ring with Floyd, I throw 2 punches at him, he laughs and hooks me and just knocks me the hell out. Okay. That sucks. You look like shit. Yeah, you collected a payday, sure. But if I hop in the ring with Roman Reigns and he squashes me in 2 seconds, he just runs at me, hits me with a Superman punch, and then it's over, I'll look like a joke. But going 20 minutes, 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is, with a good match and losing, I don't see that as an L. I see that as a W for someone, because you can get familiar with them and then you're like, man, that Zoe Stark, she didn't win, but she put on a pretty good match against Toni Storm. Or, hey, who's this Trey Baxter guy? Like, I've never heard of him. He doesn't sound that important, but I'm familiar with KUSHIDA, and he's had great matches in NXT. I'm familiar with KUSHIDA from New Japan, and like, okay, this is great. I see it. So, like, I much prefer that route of wins and losses rather than just short ones. It's so frustrating. So this was a good look for Trey. I thought I saw a lot of people praise him for all of that. And during the middle-ish or so during this match, Kyle O'Reilly came out and was watching from the stage, and I was kind of confused by this, even though that he was telling them that they need to pick their opponents for next week. I was like, man, Kyle O'Reilly going to challenge for the Cruiserweight Championship after just doing a World Championship match on Sunday? But he didn't. So, of course, KUSHIDA defeats Trey Baxter. And then Kyle O'Reilly comes to the ring to confront KUSHIDA. and says that he wants to wrestle him next week. So it's not a title match or anything like that. He just wants to wrestle him. And this match is going to absolutely kick ass. It's going to kick ass. So I'm really looking forward to that. And this may be one of the reasons why I didn't really enjoy, or that's not the words. It's not that I didn't enjoy TakeOver. It's just that TakeOver felt like an NXT. And these are the kind of matches that they're putting on in just regular old NXT. So maybe that takes away from TakeOver when that time comes. Enigma says, I want to see Buddy Murphy in New Japan and the G1. That would be great. I love Buddy Murphy, man. He's so talented. I'll be very interested in seeing where he shows up. I'll be paying attention for sure. DMM says, I believe Isaiah Swerve Scott is the perfect guy to dethrone Kushida. Yes, I could see that. I also wouldn't mind Scott taking over the NXT North American Championship eventually when that time comes for Reed to lose it. You know, maybe in a couple months have Reed drop the title to Scott and then put Reed up in the main event scene for the NXT Championship. Bronson Reed and Karrion Kross. Not mad at that. Obi James says Kushida's open challenge is like Cena's open challenge. Make a new up and comer shine, even in defeat. Yep. That's what it's all about to me, man. Like that's what these entire shows should be built around, right? We need good matches. But we need to get these people that aren't necessarily hyped up yet. We need to get people to care about them. We need to get people behind them, because when these people are gone, no one's going to care about these guys. So it should always be about progressing people further as much as you can and raising their stakes as much as you possibly can. And WWE is not very good at that. At least NXT is fine, but Raw and SmackDown are certainly not. They essentially pick and choose people from their roster. You know, they were like, damn, we need a challenger for Bobby or whatever or Drew. So they just like, oh, Kofi. Kofi's a former world champion, so we'll just like throw him in there, even though he had nothing to do with any of it. Or, you know, like, we need someone to feud with The Miz and John Morrison. Hey, we'll take this Damian Priest guy from NXT, we'll put him up here. And then when Damian Priest wins the feud, we'll just kick him to the curb, and then we'll just use The Miz and Morrison still. Like, what? Why aren't you focusing on building people and using them? Imagine a new wrestler debut with Walter. Oh, God. The chest, man. My chest hurts. My chest hurts. Ashley says, I'm a big fan of Zoe Stark since her first match. Yeah, they've done a good job with her. They made her feel important. They made her last in those matches. And even in defeat, she looks strong. Clean. That's how you do it. Save the hokey shit for other things. And then after this was actually, it might have been before this. I don't know. Sometime around here, we saw that 1% battery charging thing. I don't know. I think it's Tegan Knox, but who knows? How do I feel about Joe? Very happy about Joe. I think it's going to be perfect. Next up, we had a segment here with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and the new $1 Million Champion, LA Knight. And man, now that he's going to be featured on TV a lot, I hate my life because I'm going to have to say the name LA Knight all the time. And I hate it. It's the worst. It is the worst name ever. And speaking of the worst, I don't know if this bothers anyone else, but this drives me nuts. Anytime they feature Ted DiBiase in any sort of graphic or anything, they use a 30-year-old image of him. He doesn't look anything like that anymore. Can we just put a picture of the guy there now? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just that, like, maybe they don't want him to be on there because he looks older or whatever. But, like, spoiler alert, that's what happens as time goes by. You get old and you look older. Like, you can't escape that. We're all headed down that route. But maybe it's just that they're trying to capture people that used to watch wrestling back then, and they'll see that face and they'll remember it. Whereas maybe they won't necessarily remember his face now, I guess. I don't know, but it drives me nuts. I just wish that they would use the way that he looks now, because it just makes so much more sense to me. DMM says maybe the percent thing is like how WWE was building up Triple H's return at SummerSlam 2007. Maybe, I don't know. I'm going with Tegan Knox. That's what I'm going with. I'm going with Tegan Knox. Enigma says, to the moon and back. That's what I'm going with. I'm going with Tegan Knox. 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 To the moon Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So this segment was actually great. This segment was actually great. When LA Knight won the $1 million championship at In Your House on Sunday, I was kind of like, you know what? I disagree. This doesn't make any sense whatsoever because Cameron Grimes has been the money guy for months. And LA Knight just recently entered the scene like what? 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? Or something like that. So like, why? So here we are. LA Knight is in the ring. Ted DiBiase is in the ring. The $1 million championship is in the ring as well. And LA Knight is telling Ted DiBiase about how much he means to him, how important he was, and about how this is the greatest moment in his wrestling career. This is it. This is the top for LA Knight. And when that stuff started going on, I was like, I see. I see. I see what is going on here. This is not going to end well for Ted DiBiase. And you know, he was like, well, I guess I would love it if you would present me with the $1 million championship. Please. So Ted DiBiase picks up the $1 million championship, puts it on the shoulder of LA Knight, and they do the laughs. They do the laughs, the sparks, the fireworks from the back. They're sparkling on up again. And then he says, well, I guess the only thing left to do is get rid of the dead weight or get rid of the things that I don't care about. I can't remember exactly what he said. And he decked this man's in the face. And I don't know if it was just the angle that they used or not, but I swear he actually connected with him. I swear there's a GIF that I posted on my Instagram. It looks like you can see him hit him in the actual face with the fist. So Ted DiBiase taking a bump here and falling down from LA Knight. That was great. That was great. And this is the most important thing that LA Knight has done in his entire run with WWE and NXT. This is the first time tonight, not even last night, because I don't feel like that ladder match was that great of a ladder match. And I don't feel like that match did anything for LA Knight. I don't. But tonight, this was great. And, you know, Obi James says textbook heel heat. Yeah, like this is very formula textbook stuff. But man, it was good. It was good. It was very good. So now you have LA Knight pretty much stealing the $1 million championship now. And Cameron Grimes runs out to help Ted DiBiase and help save him. And the crowd goes crazy. The crowd is saying to the moon. And Cameron Grimes is saying like, you'll pay for this or whatever. This is great. So what they're doing is they're having LA Knight hold the championship for a while. And Cameron Grimes will chase him. And he'll eventually win. And then Cameron Grimes and Ted DiBiase will be, you know, they'll be off to the moon and over as hell. And over as hell. Can I read your comment? It says your last comment has been retracted. So I don't see your last comment. Let's see here. Vance says, finally got a break. Welcome, my friend. How are you doing? Good to see you. He says, and by the way, it's still real to me, damn it. Yes. Fly says, fully charged Tegan Nox returns mid-match or promo with Candice or to save someone at the Great American Bash, like when Y2J debuted mid-promo with The Rock. Yeah, I think that we're going to see this for at least 2 or 3 more weeks. So yeah, Great American Bash is probably the time that we will see this charged person or Tegan Nox or whatever debut. That's what I think for sure. Ashton says the great people of Gotham City are cursing LA Knight right now. Yep. They are angry. They are angry as hell. Angry as hell. Safa says, I like how the feud before TakeOver was more of a goofy and corny storyline, and now it's getting a little more serious. Yeah, that's true as well. The heat has definitely turned up. And like I said, I think this is a great thing for LA Knight to do. He looks great with the $1 million championship, by the way. Like, that looks great on him. And I'm sure it'll look great on Cameron Grimes as well, but I think NXT made the right choice. I think NXT made the right choice. It was a little confusing on Sunday because like Trevin said, it was all goofy. It didn't seem like it was going to progress much further. If to me it felt like that was the end. That was it. That's all there was. Cameron Grimes would win, get the $1 million championship, and then ride off into the sunset with Ted DiBiase. That's what I thought. But I'm not mad at this at all. I'm not mad at this at all. And maybe this will help propel LA Knight to do something else in NXT as well. Because like I said, before this, just dead. Anthony says AOW maybe start bleeping LA Knight's name. I could, but I really like just having it be a special thing for Gold. I just think it's funny. I don't want to overdo it. And I really don't want to think like, I don't want the YouTube algorithm to think that I'm actually cursing, which is a thing apparently. So I was really worried about that. When I was at that point where we were like nearing monetization, there was a lot of shows and a lot of times where we were actually talking about Gold. And when I applied for monetization, I was going to be like, man, I swear if if I get denied monetization because I'm using that bleep to cover over the Gold stuff, I'm going to be pissed. But it all worked out. Okay. Let's see here. Mercedes Martinez, you know, she's willing to fight Mei Ying. She's willing to fight Xia Li. She's willing to fight Boa. Yada, 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 yada. It is what it is. Whatever. Sava says, who is Adam Cole's opponent next week? Bobby Fish would be great. I don't know. They didn't announce it. They just said that Adam Cole will be in action next week. But Kyle O'Reilly will be taking on Kushida. I wouldn't mind Bobby Fish, but who knows? Vance says, speaking of Gold, there's speculation about Gold versus Bobby at SummerSlam, as WWE doesn't want Brock to feud with anyone but Roman Reigns first. Man, classic WWE. Give us the dream match. Give us Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. Just do it. Like, this is the time. WWE has misused Bobby Lashley his entire time with WWE since resigning. And it was rumored or speculated at that time that they promised him that match against Brock Lesnar. That's like one of the reasons why he came back. And now he's on top. He's WWE champion. Let's do it. Let's go. And you know, save Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Cool. I get it. But like, who cares? Give me Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. Give me Roman Reigns versus John Cena. And then the next big match is Roman Reigns versus The Rock. That's what I want to see. Roman Reigns versus The Rock. We need that at WrestleMania. And if WWE can keep Roman Reigns as strong as he currently is and as popular as he currently is all the way to the next WrestleMania, and fingers crossed, we might be able to do it. Reigns versus Lesnar, been there, done that. Yeah, like we've been down that ship before. And yeah, you know, we get it. Reigns is the heel now, and Reigns is on top of the world. And like, how is that even going to be? Like, a heel Roman Reigns versus a face Brock Lesnar? Are we supposed to sympathize with Brock Lesnar because he lost Paul Heyman? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I get it, but at the same time, I feel like we have bigger fish to fry and more unique fish to fry. Like Roman Reigns and John Cena, that's a big match. Roman Reigns versus The Rock is one of the biggest matches we have ever seen in a long, long, long time. DNM says, I wonder if we're going to see Mercedes Martinez versus Tian Shaw or the women on the throne. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see Mercedes Martinez versus Mei Ying at Great American Bash. And I would actually love if Mei Ying is in a match, because I want to see what the hell they're going to do with her and how all this stuff's going to be put together. Where is Cena in this picture? At SummerSlam, right? That's what we're going with? SummerSlam? Cena versus Reigns at SummerSlam, and then The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar as a face would be weird. Yeah, especially because like the tables will have been completely turned. You know, it's still funny to me because we were at that time where Brock Lesnar was Universal Champion and Roman Reigns was chasing, and they had Roman Reigns do that promo where they're like, "Oh, Brock Lesnar's just a bitch. Like he doesn't even show up to work." And so many people took that and ran with it. They're like, "Oh, Brock Lesnar doesn't show up to work." Like, what? What are you talking about? Do you really think that Vince McMahon is like, "Hey, Brock, I need you to work on Monday," and he's like, "No, fuck you. Like, no, I'm not coming into work." Like, Brock is obviously scheduled to work the dates that they work, and they agree to such a thing. And they fooled everyone with it. And now everyone's like, "Oh, I don't want to see Brock Lesnar because he just doesn't show up." And it's like, man. And the thing that I tried to say was like, if your boss came up to you and said, "Hey, all these other people, they still have to continue to work 40 hours a week, but you know, you're so efficient," or like whatever it is, whatever the reason is, you can just work 20 hours a week and you'll still get the full pay, but you only have to work 20 hours. Are you going to tell me that you would be like, "Oh no, I'm not going to work full time or part time. No, I can't do that. I can't only work 20 hours a week while everyone else works 40. No, you're going to be like, "Hell yeah, I'll only work 20 for the same pay." Or you'll be like, "I'll still work 40, but you could just pay me double or whatever." It's like, come on. Warrior says people somehow think Brock not showing up is a real thing. It's his gimmick. That I don't understand. Someone was talking about that the other day in my comments, and I was just like, man, it's still real to me too, man. Still real to me too. Trevor says, wait, so if Lesnar versus Lashley happens, that would mean Lashley would have to be a face. Or Brock is the face. Or, it is possible to do heels versus heels. Like, I'm fine with it. I don't mind. Vanch says, maybe it'll be good if it'll be heel versus heel and Brock just caring about the Universal Championship. And during the build-up, in a promo, he says Paul is a liar and a traitor. Yeah, I'm not mad at that. Yeah. Fly says, I mean, you can still do heel versus heel and it will work, can't you, regarding Lashley and Lesnar? Yeah, you could always do it. And I mean, I think that Brock Lesnar is just so big of a star that it really doesn't matter. Like, I really don't think it matters. Just have Lesnar be Lesnar, and that's it. Although, it will be weird. So, like, if Lesnar does feud with Roman Reigns, that'll be, like, I don't feel like that will be as weird because they're going to have to address the elephant in the room, right? That Paul Heyman is working with Roman Reigns and not Brock Lesnar. Or maybe they'll do some sort of mutual thing. But how do they address the elephant in the room if Lesnar shows up to Raw and feuds with Bobby Lashley? Does Paul Heyman just pull double duty and work with Reigns and Brock Lesnar? Or is Brock on his own? Be very, very interesting to see. Fly says, and I know Lesnar goes anywhere, but technically he's on Raw. So fair enough. There you go again. Anthony says, but did you hear or see that they put Brock's name when Bayley was on TV? Yeah, I saw that. I posted a picture of it because I came across it on Twitter and thought it was funny. It was probably just an accident. I'm not sure if that means anything. If we want to go based off of that picture that says that Brock Lesnar is the WWE champion, if they pull some bullshit where Brock Lesnar comes back and does have that match with Bobby Lashley and beats him and becomes the WWE champion and then goes on to like Survivor Series or whatever and fights Roman Reigns and loses, that'll be pretty disappointing. Pretty disappointing because I don't want Bobby Lashley to lose that match. I feel like he should win it, but I don't know. Philip says, good night. See you tomorrow for Fire Pro Wrestling. See you tomorrow. Thank you, man, for tuning in. Hopefully you have a good rest of your night. Yes, we will be here for Fire Pro tomorrow for FFBW. Trevin says, picture at Survivor Series, Roman defeats Lashley after a long champion versus champion match, and then as he celebrates, The Rock returns and comes face to face with him. Goosebumps. Yeah, that'd be great. That would be great. Ashley says, what if Roman and Brock try to persuade Paul to work with them and eventually Paul will get tired of it and then decides not to manage any of them? Maybe. Possible. DNM says, if they're going to do Lashley versus Lesnar, then how are they going to do it if Lesnar is a free agent? I don't know. I don't know how any of it's going to work. It'll be interesting, though. It'll be interesting. I heard they're trying to go all out. I've heard that Lesnar is not secured for SummerSlam, but John Cena is. So I guess we'll just kind of see how that goes. Next up, we had a tag team match that was the NXT Women's Champion Raquel Gonzalez teaming up with Dakota Kai to take on returning Kacy Catanzaro and Kayden Carter. And this is just so weird to me. Like, this is why I hate the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships and the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. Ever since, like, they were thought of, not necessarily thought of, but like when we all realized that WWE was going to do women's tag titles, ever since then, it has all been downhill for the singles women's divisions. They've paired up random ass people to do things. We've had double champions. We've had singles champions being involved in tag team divisions and all of this stuff. Like, none of it makes sense. Like, if you want to have the women's tag team championships, have the tag teams to do it. I don't like that Raquel Gonzalez is challenging or trying to win tag team championship gold. This match between Dakota and Raquel and Kacy Catanzaro and Kayden Carter, it was good, but it was completely pointless. Why? And a lot of us, I feel like we know the end of the road here. We think that Dakota Kai is going to turn on Raquel, but I don't know. It makes so much more sense had they would have given the championship to Dakota Kai. And first of all, never give them the tag team championships. Never do that. That was terrible. Don't ever do that. Have Dakota Kai win the NXT Women's Championship and have Raquel be that big bodyguard for her. Like, let the fans get to know her. Let her get used to everything, because she was thrown in this position way too early, in my opinion. And I kind of feel that same way with Cross. Like, we talked about this on Sunday. I don't feel like the people that watch NXT have connected with Cross or Raquel at all. They're off. They're not like the previous champions. You know, we had Finn Balor and Io Shirai. Amazing. Right? These two are just, I don't know. They're not it for me. They're not it. So her challenging for these tag team championships and being in that and saying that Dakota Kai wants gold as well, which I'm not sure if that's supposed to, like, I'm not sure if the tag match was to throw us off when Dakota said, or when Raquel said that Dakota wants gold. If that was supposed to throw us off as being like, oh yeah, well, we're just going to chase the tag team championships. Because she said she wanted another one as well. I thought this is slowly planting the seeds for Dakota's turn on Gonzalez. So I don't know. Maybe what will happen is that they will try to go for the tag team championships. They won't be able to do it. And when they lose the match, maybe Dakota Kai will snap and be like, you know what? You're holding me back. Yada, 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 yada. I would have won this match, so now I'm just going to take your gold. I don't know. I still feel like Raquel turning on Dakota would have been a better visual, because then you could have had us get used to Raquel, and Dakota could have actually done something and been a women's champion in NXT. And then the heel heat from that, or maybe even babyface love, when Raquel attacks Dakota, Dakota would have been great. And then she could beat her for the championship as well. And she could be that dominant force, you know, like she could just beat the absolute hell out of her and win it. I feel like that would have worked so much better. But, you know, at the same time, NXT did just prove me wrong about what I wanted to see with Cameron Grimes and Ted DiBiase. So I guess we'll kind of wait and see. But to me, keep the divisions separate. If you have a women's champion, have her be a singles competitor. If you have tag teams, have them be tag teams. That's all I want. That's it. Elver says, my SummerSlam match card would be Cena versus Reigns, Lashley, and Lesnar Father Rollins versus Edge, RK Bro versus Styles and Omos, Usos and Mysterio, Cesaro versus Apollo, Belair versus Banks 2, and Ripley versus Bliss. Not bad. That would be a very good card. Ashley says Dakota has been in NXT for a while now and has yet to win the NXT Women's Championship. Yeah, I mean, like, they can't all win them. I get it, but I just feel like that would have been such a better story. Sava says Raquel keeps saying that Dakota wants gold. Maybe if they fail to win the tag championships, Dakota turns on her. Yep. DNM says Raquel turning on Dakota is honestly better because of how they can show her true dominance. Exactly. Yes. Exactly. And we will have seen that for a while as well, with Raquel protecting Dakota. And it's finally that time where it's like, look, I've done nothing but protect you. I am the reason why you're the NXT Women's Champion. It wasn't you. Maybe Raquel even cheats, to help Dakota beat Io. And that's how Dakota wins it. And Raquel's just protecting her. She's the one making sure that everything happens. And eventually she's like, you know what? Actually, I don't need Dakota Kai anymore. I'm the reason why you have it. I'm the reason why all this run is successful and even happened in the first place. So now I'm going to take it from you. And there isn't a damn thing you could do about it because I'm just a beast. I'm too powerful. That would have been great. That would have been the end of it. Fly says also NXT In Your House press conference. She said how important Kai was to her in the championship. So maybe not. So maybe that helps. Fair enough. Van says, okay, guys, got to go. See you. And please read my comment before I can go. I got you. He says, I think the championship will change hands again as Bobby versus Roman may not match the quality we are getting during the champion versus champion match, like Roman versus Drew, Brock versus AJ and Daniel. Yeah, you're right. I forgot they do stuff like that. We'll see, I guess. We'll see. But have a good rest of your night, man. It was a pleasure seeing you. Obi James says, I can see Team Kick coming back after Raquel turns on Dakota. Yeah, I can see that. And so after this, Io Shirai came back, and while she was giving a promo, she said she's back and she's better than ever, or whatever it was she said. And as she was speaking, Candice LeRae came out and said that she still doesn't like her, and that Io Shirai is no longer the dominant champion, and that Candice actually has gold now. So Indy and Candice attack Io Shirai, and while they're beating her up, Zoe Starks comes out and helps avenge her. So I would expect to see a tag team match between them. And this was kind of my point as well about the booking for the women's tag team and stuff just being asked backwards. So you have Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai cutting a promo about coming for the tag team championships, right? Right. And then the very next thing you see is the women's tag team champions attacking someone. And this feud is essentially Candice LeRae and Io Shirai. So you have the singles champion going for the tag team champions, and then you have the tag team champion, or one half of the tag team champions, in a singles feud. It's weird as hell. It is weird as hell to me. Like, why not have Kacy and Kayden against Candice and Indy? We haven't seen them do anything since they won the tag titles. To my knowledge, they've been doing a lot of the video packages and a lot of stuff with the Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell, the Index video package and love stuff. They had a lot going on there, but match wise, I don't think they've done much, if anything. Ashley says Candice doesn't like anyone. Pretty much. Trevin says with Dakota and Raquel, I guess they're going the route on how we thought Sasha was going to turn on Bayley, but Bayley turned on her instead. Fair enough. Yep. Well, tag now since Zoe made the save. Yeah, but it's like they're not a tag team. Like, Io Shirai and Zoe Stark are not a tag team. It's like, god damn, man. Okay. God damn. Next up, we saw another video package for Diamond Mine. This time, after they showed the logo for Diamond Mine, we got another thing said that opening next week. The wording here is odd. Very odd. To my knowledge, from what I've seen, Diamond Mine is like a group of like 6 guys or so. Opening next week. I don't know if this is actually going to just be a stable or not. And so I guess I'll give you the reason why, or the reason how I know it is a group of guys, like 6 or 7 or 8 of them, or something around that. It's a large group of guys. When they first started showing these Diamond Mine video packages, a lot of people thought that this was tied to Tessa Blanchard because of the diamonds, but it's not. And Ryan Satin actually retweeted a couple of people who made these posts talking about them, and they had mentioned Diamond Mine either in their tweet or they were in their bios, and it was a group of guys. So I'm not necessarily sure if this is supposed to be a stable or if this is going to be some sort of other thing that happens. Maybe this is, God, I hope that this is not another like Raw Underground type thing, but I don't know. Maybe NXT could actually pull it off. Maybe this is, God, man, I honestly don't even know. Retribution's coming back. Oh God, please not. Maybe it's going to be like an Alpha Academy type thing. It certainly could. Yeah. Maybe it could be like more MMA style type wrestlers like Arturo Rujas. He's not in this group. At least not from what I've seen, but you know, maybe they have like more of a fighter presentation to them or something. I don't know, but I'm excited to see what it is next week because I've been curious ever since. And the first time that I saw this, like, I actually saw I didn't see the ending of it, so I didn't see the Diamond Mine logo, but I did watch the most of the video, and I got up and left because I thought it was like an Under Armour commercial. Like, I thought it was just a commercial selling you like some sort of gym clothing. That's what I thought it was. So like, I'm so confused as to what this is gonna end up being. Anthony says, I mean, NXT does random tag teams to make them look good. For example, Riddle and Pete. Yeah, I mean, they're good at it, but for the women, it's just kind of frustrating. Trevor says, speaking of stables, I'm surprised we didn't see Hit Row unless I'm mistaken. No, but they had Everrise talk about Hit Row. And actually, I think they did show a video package of Hit Row, like, abusing Everrise. Rated C says, I believe Diamond Mine would be similar to Catchpoint, a stable that focuses on technical wrestling. Fair enough. I could see that. What if it's Conor McGregor? I don't think it is. It's a bunch of people that I haven't heard of before. I don't know. I guess we'll see next week. Safa says, one thing I am worried about is the outcome of Kyle O'Reilly versus Kushida next week. Who wins that? It's got to be Kyle O'Reilly. It's got to be Kyle O'Reilly. I don't want to see Kushida lose it. But it's got to be Kyle O'Reilly if he's going to be headed into a match with Adam Cole at Great American Bash. And whoever Adam Cole's opponent is, he needs to beat him next week too. Ashley says, will Ever Rise? Ever Rise? I don't know, man. Maybe one day. One day. Rated C says, Catchpoint was a stable on Evolve that had Drew Gulak and TJP. Probably oh, God, I hope it's not a disqualification. That will be so frustrating. That will be so frustrating. Next up, we had another backstage segment here with William Regal and Samoa Joe. Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory come into Regal's office, and they're just... Gargano has his fist up in the air, and he's like, Joe, 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 Joe. They're doing the whole Joe chant, and Samoa Joe is not impressed. He ends up telling Johnny Gargano to get the hell out of the office. And then Pete Dunne comes in, and him and Samoa Joe just have a stare down. So good. So good. Safa says Adam Cole is a heel. He'll probably pick someone weak like Leon Ruff. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. But yeah, this segment with Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory was hilarious. I loved it. I thought it was so funny. Like, Johnny Gargano was very entertaining. He's very entertaining, and I like him paired up with Austin Theory as well. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun, and I love it when someone's just like a shit heel. You know, I love it. It's my favorite. It's probably my favorite. Like, what would you call that? I don't know. Just a shit heel. That's like my favorite thing that a person could be. Leroy says Kushida and Kyle O'Reilly had some 5-star classics back in New Japan for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight. I haven't seen that, but that is great. That is great. I watched Kushida. I was familiar with Kushida from New Japan, but not Kyle O'Reilly from New Japan. I started watching afterwards. Next up was our main event match of the night. That was Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher taking on the Grizzled Young Veterans. And man, this match was great. This was a really good match. This was a tornado tag team match. And at first, when they were talking about it, I was kind of like, cool. Like, it's a tag team tornado match. Like, it's not that big of a deal that you just don't have to tag. But man, they beat the absolute hell out of each other for the entire match. And it was very entertaining. And I do believe that this match should have been on TakeOver instead of on here. It certainly should have. Fly says non-title. Yeah, non-title. Nope, it is not for the championship. At least in my knowledge. I didn't see it on the graphic or anything like that. So yeah, it should be just a straight up match. But yeah, they beat the absolute hell out of each other. There was a lot of really good spots. There was a sequence. I'm not familiar with the Grizzly Young Veteran guys by their singles names. But Timothy Thatcher was tying up with one of them and they kept reversing each other. And they eventually made their way to the corner where Thatcher was in the corner and the other guy had him in the corner. And they were I don't know, they were evenly matched, is I guess what I will say. And then literally out of nowhere, the other one came and flew in and drop kicked the shit out of Timothy Thatcher. That was really, really cool. I loved that. I loved the spot on the outside as well. That was great. And the finish. The double submission finish was so good, man. That was so good. I loved that. And I've told you guys from the beginning, I absolutely love Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher as a tag team. I've said this from the day that they paired up together. Give these guys the tag team championships. They are so good. And if we're going to have a match between Thatcher and Ciampa and MSK, I feel like there's no way in hell that those MSK guys can survive a match against these guys. Because these guys are nuts. If I'm walking, like, I don't want to be next to these guys. These guys look like they will whoop your ass and without breaking a sweat. Ashton says, old man Ciampa and toothless Timmy. Yes. Perfect. And I love how he does like the smile thing afterwards. That's so great. Chloe says, I feel like Ciampa and Thatcher tag team names should be something like Tooth and Nail. That'd be pretty funny. I'm also not against, like, since they're not an actual, like, tag team, I'm not mad at them just being themselves. Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa. Ashley says Zach Gibson is the bald one and James Drake is the one with the long hair. So I think Gibson is the one that had Thatcher in the corner and then Drake is the one that drop kicked the hell out of him. And yeah, like I said, that was incredible. That was so good. I loved that. Yeah, so that was the show tonight. And then I guess after this match, they had a little segment with William Regal and Samoa Joe again, just asking them about how the first night went. And it went good. It went pretty good for them. So I'm looking forward to see what is in store for them next week. I'm curious to see how this Samoa Joe enforcer role is actually going to pan out in the long run. Who he's going to butt heads with, how he's going to solve these sort of problems and fix things. And then more importantly, like, what happens when everyone's straightened out? I don't know. Thatcher sold it like he died. Yeah, he did. And he came in so fast and like the thigh slap was so loud and like all of it was just like perfect. It was like, damn, good Lord. Anthony says, would you rather get in the ring with Ciampa and Thatcher or than Walter? Oh, that's a tough one. Probably Walter because it's just one. But man, you're taking a beating either way. It's going to be bad for you either way. Elmer says Ciampa and Thatcher promos are awesome, and Ciampa angrily getting off the chair and Thatcher grinning. Yeah, they're very entertaining together. It works. It works. NXT, we've said this a million times. NXT is really good at pairing two random ass people together and making them very enjoyable. Very, very enjoyable. Tommaso and Thatcher, Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle. Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle was so good. I loved the Broserweights. everything about the Broserweights was great. And I guess people can make an argument. I've seen someone say that RK Bro is pretty much Broserweights, and they're not wrong. I mean, Randy Orton is pretty much kind of like Pete Dunne, and Matt Riddle is, of course, Matt Riddle. But man, it's so good. Fly says Thatcher stealing MSK's popcorn was hilarious. Yeah, it was great. It was great. Maybe we'll see Ciampa and Thatcher versus MSK at Great American Bash. If that's the case, I'm not sure that they'll win the titles because I feel like that's a little soon. But who knows? Who knows? I definitely feel like they need titles. I definitely feel like they need titles. They're so good together. It would be a shame. It would be a shame. So yeah, that's gonna do it for me. That is the end of the show. A little shy of 2 hours. Not too bad. Not too bad. But overall, this is the best episode of NXT I've seen in recent memory. This is certainly my favorite episode of NXT since they moved to Tuesdays as well. It was very good. This show was very good. And if NXT can continue this momentum going forward, I'm a happy camper. I'm a happy camper because before this, NXT was just kind of like, they had really good moments, or good moments, I will say, and then a lot of meh moments as well. But this show was great. Lots of good stuff. I didn't doze off or tune out at any moment. I was just glued to this show the whole entire time, which is how it should be. Fly says matches slapped all night pretty much. Yeah, good matches. And like I said, I think that this show was better than TakeOver. I really do. Anthony says a mash of meh. Yes. A lot of mash of meh. That's a lot of NXT on Tuesdays. But yeah, great show. Hopefully they keep the momentum forward. We do have another good show to look forward to next week with Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole being in the ring and this whole Diamond Mine thing going on. Plus the percentage thing. Maybe we'll see that move up a little bit more on the charging status for that phone, but who knows? Van says Loki's new episode is coming in less than 3 hours, man. See y'all. Oh yeah, I'm gonna need to watch that. It's weird that it's not on Fridays because I'm used to that from WandaVision. So I'll have to make sure to tune into that. I'll probably watch it Thursday though. Rated C says, what if the $1 Million Championship can be like the Money in the Bank briefcase? That would be interesting. An interesting concept for NXT. I really like how, I'm not sure if this is still a thing or something, but I heard someone mention that on Impact you can turn in the X Division Championship. Impact, turn in X Division Championship. 90 blah 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 blah. Creation option C. Oh yeah, okay. So it's called option C. Option C is a concept in which the current X Division champion may voluntarily vacate the championship in exchange for a World Heavyweight Championship match at that year's Destination X event. It began in June 2012 when then champion Austin Aries said that he is not satisfied with being just the X Division champion, which led then general manager Hulk Hogan offering him a match for the World Heavyweight Championship, but only if he first vacated the X Division Championship. Aries agreed to Hogan's terms on the condition that the X Division champion will be given the same opportunity in future years. Aries would then relinquish the X Division Championship and defeated Bobby Roode for the world title. On the November 15th, 2018 episode of Impact, Brian Cage defeated Sami Callihan to retain the X Division Championship. After the match, he announced he would use option C at the Impact Wrestling Homecoming event to challenge Impact World Champion Johnny Impact. I like that. I like that idea a lot. And like, I don't know, maybe have certain rules to it, like you have to defend it 5 times before you turn it in or something like that. But I really like stuff like that. If they could figure out ways to do stuff like that with other ones, that'd be great. Ashley says, good night. I love none of you. Trevor says, great show of NXT and great post show as always. Thank you. So ready for tomorrow's Dynamite. Cannot wait. So there is no Dynamite tomorrow. Do not forget, there is no Dynamite tomorrow. Dynamite is on Friday again this week. Friday. So tomorrow we will have FFBW, the Fire Promoter, on that's Wednesday. Thursday is an off day, and then Friday, I'm not sure what we're going to do, but probably try to do something. And then Dynamite is on following SmackDown, and then we will be here for a Dynamite post show as well following it. And I'll try to keep that one short as well, since it's late in the night for everyone that is not on the West Coast or not in the country as well. So we'll probably try to do an hour-long show for that and just get right into that until they return to Wednesdays. I think it's on July 6th or July 7th or something like that when Dynamite returns to Wednesdays. So we'll be back for that. Fly says, not like Money in the Bank has to be announced in advance. True. Yeah. You want AEW back on Wednesday so bad? Me too, man, because I hate I'm not a fan of the late post shows. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's not for me. Not for me. When is Kenny Omega versus Jungle Boy happening? I believe that's not this week, but the next week, because next week is on Saturday night. So that'll change things up a little bit as well. Fly says Fridays be hurting their ratings, isn't it? Yeah. They're at about like 400, 500. I think they're like around 460, 470 to 500,000 viewers right now on Friday nights. But I mean, it's a different night and it's super late at night. So it's bad, but I'm not too worried about Dynamite. I'm more so worried about Rampage when it happens, because that's going to be its time slot. Rampage is just going to be an hour long, but it's going to directly follow SmackDown. So that might be tough. And AEW has they have an entire month of gimmicked shows planned for when they return to Wednesdays. So I'm sure that'll help them get back into their groove of viewership when they return as well. But okay, yeah, like I said, that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys for tuning in. I greatly appreciate all of you. We will be here tomorrow on the gaming channel for some more Fire Promoter, some FFBW, and that will be on during the same time that Dynamite would be on. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you all tomorrow. Hopefully you all have a good rest of your night. I will see you then. Peace.